Hi, and welcome to Rabbit and Moon Tarot. My name is Angel, and I'll be doing a collective read today. Now, I'm returning from a long absence of readings just because life was lifing, and I needed time to kind of center myself. And also, I wanted to bring it to my collective's attention, my luminaries, that I'll be doing readings as they come in, as the channels come in, because I have to honor the channels and the truth, but I also have to protect my light. Also, I'll be doing readings at two locations because I do spend half my time at work in town and then half my time in sort of like the country. So, just as an FYI, if you notice a different setup in the coming weeks, that's where I'm at. I'm just out in nature. So let's get going. I was going to read tarot, but I'm being told to grab oracles first. So let's go ahead and grab an oracle. I'm going to figure out what the energy is for the collective that we're sitting with today, for the luminaries that are stepping forward. So give me a second while I tap in. I just saw a fire, quite literally like a bonfire. You may have recently just attended a bonfire. It is the time of the year that people are starting to go out camping, go to have bonfires on the beach, or maybe just have a small fire in their backyard. It might even still be chilly enough in some places where people are still building fires in their homes, but fire, fire, fire is what I'm feeling. And isn't that just perfect? April is so fiery with the year of the fire horse, and we are in Aries season. So let's go ahead and figure out what we're tapping into. Fire, fire, fire. Oh, I just heard it's sweltering in here. Interesting. So, some collectives, I think you might be going through some sort of trial or tribulation, some sort of testing, as they say, or that you've recently gone through like a difficult time. I just heard it waxes and wanes. Okay, so, bottom of the deck, partnership. Oh, is this about relationships? Y'all, is this about relationships? So we had it's sweltering in here and it waxes and wanes. So I'm getting, especially with this, the image of these two people, we have one person who looks like they are embodying kind of a more fiery energy, and then we have another person who seems to be embodying a more lunar energy. So solar, lunar. This may be a counterpart reading. This may be soulmate twin flame reading, or it simply could be a mirrored connection reading. And again, the waxes and wanes, I'm hearing hot and cold. Hearing hot and cold. Okay, let's go ahead and go forward because now I'm like fully feeling like this might be a counterpart reading. What is the energy that the collective is tapping into? What is it that we need to see for the collective? Oh, there we go. Oh, two cards came out, which is what we need. So we have boat and equanimity. So this right here makes me think of the Six of Swords. This makes me think of growth. This makes me think of change. This makes me think of forward movement. And then equanimity, which is making sure that we have composure. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing making sure we have composure in whatever we're going through. Again, you all might have been going through something recently or still going through something or worried about going through something. We have the boat card. I'm seeing Six of Swords very strongly. So this is about progression and partnership. We got that little volunteer that wanted to be seen before I even pulled the cards. So there is something about making progress in a relationship. And even though it's like I hear sweltering in here, it's sweltering in here, and then it waxes and wanes. So it makes me think hot and cold. We looked at those two images on that card. One looked like it was embodying a solar energy. The other looked like it was embodying a lunar energy, hot and cold, night and day. Duality. We are talking about duality right now. And your composure in, I just heard and saw someone like toes at a line, like right at the point of change. So like if one side of a line is black and the other side is white, or hot and cold, you're like towing the line. Is having composure in being tested outside of your comfort zone when it comes to a partnership. And it may feel like you are inundated with these new experiences, these new feelings, whether or not it's romantic, business, friendship, family. I don't know if I said family again. Sorry. If I said it twice, then that bears repeating for whatever reason. But this is how well, okay, hold on. Fire signs. It's fire signs. It feels like how well you can keep your cool in a sweltering situation. Okay, that's what I just heard. How a fire sign can keep their cool in a sweltering situation. It is towing that line to figure out at what point is my trigger point? At what point is the last straw that what's the proverbial straw that like makes the camel, I don't really like the saying, you know what I'm talking about, the last straw. What is that line? What is that trigger? And then when you approach that point that something triggers you, whether in anger or in sadness or in confusion, how do we keep our composure? How do we keep an evenness of spirit or countenance? How do we call upon that equanimity? How are we growing? Ooh, this is very textured. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use an archetype, an archetypes oracle deck to kind of give me an idea of where the collective is at from an archetype standpoint. So we have general energy. So let's see from an archetype standpoint. And this isn't really an archetype deck, but it feels like it. So I'm just using that language to better illustrate what I'm trying to do. Okay, for our collective, we've got one. So we have the madman, embracer of madness, frenzy, chaos, unruly, possession. Fire, 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 fire is what I'm hearing. Like it doesn't have to do with actual insanity, but it can be that unbridled, untethered flame, that passion. Again, it's that testing point. Where is your trigger? How do you fire signs keep your cool in a sweltering situation? Right here, it's telling me, oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Right here, it's telling me that you are like at a boiling point. And I do feel like there is this kind of hot and cold energy. So sometimes you are at, ooh, okay. Sometimes you are at this place where you want to just strike while the iron is hot, or say the zinger that you feel in your mouth when someone upsets you. You just want to like, ooh, stick it to them with like an insult. But at the same time, there's this feeling of like total disconnect, an aloofness, pardon me. A feeling of not wanting to be involved. So it doesn't have to be anger, but with fire, it's passion. Passion can mean a lot of things. It can mean love. It can be anger. It could be carnality. But you're in the throes of this chaos, this fire. Okay, I'm going to grab one more because, again, this feels like a very dualistic reading. So what else is the collective embodying? My goodness, I'm getting so many goosebumps. I'm so sorry. I'm going to put this down. So you're waxing and waning between chaos, unruliness, fire and passion, and child, a beacon of hope, innocence, growth. Where is the equanimity between these two things? Where is your trigger point, fire signs? And I keep saying that and I keep getting goosebumps. So there is something that you have to figure out for yourselves. To my fire signs, I'm going to put these in the middle so I have more room for my other cards. you have to figure out for yourself what is actually causing you to toe that line and feel like you're going to reach a boiling point. Why is it a boiling point or complete like disconnect? Where is the seriousness of like adulthood and like the levity and lightness of childhood? There is something in between. I'm getting liminality so very strongly. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with tarot. Because something has been testing you. Whether something is evoking passion in anger or in grief. Something is making you sad. Maybe something is reminding you of something that brings you to like a sullen, dark place. Maybe someone's behavior is inciting a flame in you, whether it's anger or passion. And there's that waxing and waning, that it's sweltering in here, but then hot and cold. So I keep hearing, where is the trigger point? Do you know where it lies and why it's there? And what do you do? How do you stop? Okay. How do you stop the explosion from happening when you get to that toed line where there's that trigger point? How can you call upon equanimity in your countenance? How can you honor the anger or the sadness, the grief or confusion that you're feeling without letting it overpower you? Being able to give a voice to that feeling. Where is that trigger point? Do you know where it's at? Do you recognize it when it's approaching? Or do you only notice it when it's right in your face? Spirit, can you help me get some clarification on this? Oh, we've got 3. So I'll put this off to the side. So first card. We've got the Devil card. Second, the 2 of Cups. Third, the Knight of Cups. Okay. This has to do with relationship, but it also has to do with relationship and I don't want to say obsession, but it's a little bit of both, actually. The Devil card isn't always bad. It is also about breaking free of the chains that bind us, the things that hold us back. It's recognizing, hey, this is not healthy for me to do, and I need to remove the shackles from my wrists and ankles so that I can live a life that is authentic to me. It is freedom. It is release. But we also have, there's this feeling, especially with like the madman energy and then the devil energy, something tells me that your trigger point comes from relationships. I'm sorry, but that trigger point, the biggest trigger point for you is relationships, romantic relationships, whether or not you accept behavior that you absolutely should not be accepting, or, and this is the harder part for me to say, you display behavior that you know is not right. And I'm not saying in like a very, I don't mean like an abusive way, like physically, but maybe you have some deep insecurities and that projects onto your partner. Or maybe you're so used to being in survival mode that all you can see is your own needs and you forget to see the needs of your partner. Vice versa. Maybe you've always had to care for someone else, always had to care for someone else. You know, younger siblings, parent children, being a parentified child. Maybe your needs were always second to someone else, and so you're always making your partner the focus of everything and then neglecting yourself. And you want to bring love forward. You want to honor the love that you feel within these relationships. But first, where is the trigger point in these relationships? At what point does it happen? Why does it happen? I'm feeling some really deep soul searching. Because we do have this boat card. And the boat card, again, reminds me of the Six of Swords. Growth, forward movement, progression. It could mean literal movement, like maybe part of this waxing and waning, this hot and cold, or the bickering or arguments have to do with moving. Someone is going to move, and so there's issue with that. Or someone wants someone to move, and there's issue with it. Take it as it resonates. Don't make it fit. But the trigger point is in relationships. Let's get some more cards. Three of Swords in reverse. So you recognize this. You recognize that relationships are your trigger points, or in relationship you are triggered the most. And I'm sorry I keep saying the word triggered so much, but it seems so pertinent. If that word gets under your skin, there might be work there. You see what I'm saying? If it plucks on a certain heartstring or heart chord, or it resonates in an uncomfortable way, I'm sorry to say it, look in a mirror. You're not bad. You're not a bad person. Everybody has something they need to work on. I sure as hell have my own points that I deeply need to research, to look into, to introspect, to be self-aware. I'm just asking you, the collective. I'm reflecting your energy. You might want to do the same. You know that relationships are these points of contention, these moments of holding a mirror to yourself. And you realize that relationships from early childhood made you resilient, that you can endure a lot. But sometimes that is not the answer to a relationship. Sometimes the answer is sometimes the answer isn't how much can I endure in this relationship, or vice versa. How much can my partner endure to show me that I'm worthy or they're worthy of this relationship or love? Where is the trigger point? Where did it come from? You are resilient. I'm feeling that very strongly. Ooh, I just got this pointed feeling. Hold on just a second. I'm going to take a moment because my throat chakra is really tightening up right now. Well, that pointed feeling that I felt, it felt like almost like a needle jab. Then my throat chakra immediately tightened up. Again, I'm not reading this to make anyone feel uncomfortable or to take you to the library, as they say in some circles, or to read you to filth, as they say, or to take a dig at you. I'm saying this from a point of, I've been here. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is give yourself tough love and look at yourself and be like, Angel, looking in the mirror, Angel, why you like this? And doing the work. Because if it triggers you, if it makes you feel some kind of way, if it gets under your skin, there's work to be done. Let me get one more card. The Knight of Pentacles. Until that work can be done, the stability that you seek is going to keep getting, like the goalpost will keep being moved farther and farther. You want to bring in love. You're resilient. You understand that you have trigger points, but I'm getting this, again, this kind of waxing and waning. Sometimes you want to do the work, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they want to do the work, sometimes they don't. But until the work is done, until you look into that proverbial mirror and say, why you like this? because I want to live a happy life and I want to have successful relationships, friendships, family relationships, business, and love, you have to understand where your trigger points are. And when you get to those trigger points, how to stay cool in a sweltering moment. How to convey your feelings without, what's the word I'm looking for? Invalidating someone else's. How to give of yourself, or to be generous with yourself, or to speak your truth without abandoning yourself completely. Until that work has been done, this Knight of Pentacles that wants to bring instability, the goalposts will keep being moved out farther until you do the work. So, oh, there goes my cat. She is meowing. She wants attention. I'm so sorry. I will be right out. But I'm gonna close out this reading. I'm going to get a oracle card. I'm going to use the Black Moon card because, whoops, oh no, don't drop all that stuff. Sorry. I'm going to use the Black Moon deck, and then we'll close out this reading. Okay. So what's the closing message that Spirit wants to tell my fire signs that seem to be dancing all through this reading? Ooh. Seek calm. Like, it couldn't be a more pertinent message, considering I said it felt like it's sweltering in here. There's hot and cold. There's madman energy. There's devil energy. There's that, where is the trigger? Where does it exist? At what point when you toe the line, how can you keep that equanimity, that composure, that how you act in a situation that tests you? Seek calm. That's the 20 card. So that is judgment. This is what you're supposed to do, is to seek this calm. That doesn't mean deny your feelings. That's not to say, oh, I don't feel any of these anger or grief or confusion or sadness. No, that is just giving them a place of honor, recognizing what they are, letting it move through you, and then move past it. Don't stay there, but move through it, honor it, understand where it comes from, and move forward. And resume your calm. It is a balance. We all have that balance. We have our good days and our bad days, but we always want to seek to be our most authentic self and to have a peaceful and calm life. So if this resonated with you, please consider sharing, and subscribing, or hitting the thumbs up. That also really helps. I don't have a set schedule. I try to read as I feel called to. And I will be having two different setups because I exist in two different places. I have a place where I live in the city that I am, where I work, and then I spend time in the country. So sometimes my setup will change. So just understand, here I'm working from a city, and then another setup will be where I'm working from the country. So if you liked my reading, if you kind of vibed with my style, again, please consider sharing, subscribing. This is Rabbit and Moon Tarot. My name is Angel, and I will see you at the next reading.